everyone for being here today. We're going to begin our event with remarks from our officials and distinguished guests, and then afterwards we will take questions from the media. So with that, I'm going to invite Minister LaGrange to the podium to provide her remarks.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be here today with my colleagues. First off, the brilliant Travis Toews, the President of Treasury Board and the Minister of Finance. And I have to add, the first Minister of Finance to balance the budget since 2014. I think he deserves an applause. And I also have my colleague and friend, Mr. Speaker, Nathan Cooper, MLA, representing Olds, Didsbury, and Three Hills. I'd like to acknowledge Golden Hills School Division Board Chair Laurie Huntley and the trustees who are able to join us today. Golden Hills School Division administrators, including Superintendent Bevan Davern, Interim Principal Ivan Wright, and the staff of Acme, Bruce McLeod, Mayor of Acme, community and business leaders, including Dave Price, co-founder, past president, and company director of the Centera Group of Companies, Acme families, and everyone who is here for this incredible announcement. Thank you so much for coming. Seeing the number of community members and guests with us today is a real testament to the importance of Acme School to this community. And I had the pleasure of being here, I want to say maybe about a year and a half or so ago, and was blown away by just how involved everyone is and how much they love this school and this community. I would like to recognize the thoughtful work done by Golden Hills School Division in identifying the immense need for this project and their vision for a community innovation center right here in Acme. Today, I am pleased to announce the government's investment of $13.7 million over the next 3 years for the modernization of this important school. I am really proud to be part of a government that sees the hard work happening in your community and is able to support this much-needed update to your school. Alberta's government is committed to providing students with learning spaces that set them up for success. This modernization project will provide students with more career and skills training options in new state-of-the-art spaces for career and technology studies. Spaces that will better support learning and career partnerships within the community and enhance the school's existing partnerships with local businesses. It is clear Acme is a close-knit community that shares our government's perspective that young people need access to educational programming that prepares them for the world of work and rewarding careers closer to home. Supporting Acme students also supports local business partners who will have access to skilled workers that will help them expand their offerings to Albertans, to Canadians, and to those around the world. The modernized Acme School will serve as a hub for the community and for businesses. Upgrades will include virtual reality training spaces for skills development, spaces that support entrepreneurship, and offer improved meeting areas for business connections and seminars. I wish I could go back to school. It sounds fantastic. Students and the community will benefit from the training and support in job-specific skills in industry, including agriculture, manufacturing, and a range of trades and apprenticeships, all which reside within your community. In partnership with the community, funding includes construction of a new, accessible gymnasium to replace the one we are in here today. And although this one looks well-loved, I'm sure you're looking forward to a new space, are you? Yes? Yeah. This will not only help enhance athletic programming for students, it will also provide a wonderful facility for community use. This hub model that brings together school programs, businesses, and the community is a model that could benefit the entire province. It could be used in other rural and smaller urban communities to enhance career, skill, and apprenticeship programming for future generations. By investing wisely in projects like the modernization of Acme School, we will ensure that all Alberta students receive an education that enriches their lives. and prepares them for the successful life beyond school. And trust me, there is a successful life beyond school, kids. I am proud that Budget 2022 includes a capital plan that invests $2 billion over 3 years to support new school projects, continue working on previously announced projects, and maintain existing schools. It's an investment we make for our students, for our communities, but moreover, for our future. I will now invite Minister Toews to the podium to provide his remarks. Thank you.
Well, good morning. It's really a pleasure to be here in Acme this morning. Thank you, Minister LaGrange, for your words. It's good. I look around and I see some old acquaintances. I see students, the next generation, which really this is all about today. I see business leaders, community leaders, provincial, unofficial leaders in so many ways in this room. Thanks for coming out today. It's very appreciated. Last week I presented Budget 2022, and in that budget there were a number of key themes. Firstly, it was a budget where we reported on the fiscal progress this province has made over the last 3 years, and as Minister LaGrange noted, it was a budget that provided a balanced budget for all 3 years in the fiscal plan, and that was due to some hard work by Albertans. It involved some difficult decisions over the last 3 years, but it ultimately resulted in this province bending the curve of its expenditures to align on a per capita basis with similar provinces, putting the province on a sustainable fiscal trajectory, which is so important to the next generation, so that we're not downloading our irresponsible fiscal decisions and creating a burden that they did not create and should not bear. Bringing fiscal responsibility to the province allows us to make strategic reinvestments, investments that matter to communities, investments that matter to the next generation. And so in Budget 2022, we had a skills and talent focus. In fact, we're investing $600 million over the next 3 years within the context of a balanced budget to improve the skills of Albertans. And these are investments in the continuum of education. They're going to be key investments like this one that is going to ensure the next generation have the opportunity to build skills, have exposure into various potential career occupations. Investments that will strengthen our communities and communities in places like Acme in rural Alberta. But it's more than that. We will be expanding post-secondary learning opportunities. In fact, we are going to be investing over $170 million over 3 years to create additional targeted seats at our great world-class post-secondary institutions in this province. These are going to be seats in occupations that are and will be in great demand. There'll be seats in the tech sector, agriculture sciences, aviation, aerospace, engineering, finance, and more. But the Alberta at Work initiative includes more than that. We're going to be investing $30 million over the next 3 years to enhance apprenticeship opportunities across this province, and $46 million into charter schools and collegiate schools, investments such as this. As I traveled the province ahead of Budget 2022, seeking advice, perspective, recommendations, I heard from many folks, many chambers of commerce members, many businesses, many Albertans. And you know, across sectors and across regions, there was one concern. There was many concerns, but there was one common denominator. And that was many employers were short of appropriate, educated, skilled, experienced staff. And it was beginning to hold back, I believe, our economic growth in this province. At the same time, we had an unemployment rate north of 7%. And while there are a number of factors contributing to that anomaly, a labor shortage and relatively high unemployment, it became very evident to myself and other colleagues that we ultimately had a skills mismatch. There were many Albertans who simply didn't have the appropriate skills to step into that new job or career opportunity. They didn't have the skills to provide well for themselves and their family and make that great contribution to the community that they would like to make. And that is what prompted, that is what initiated this focus on skills and talent and the additional $600 million over the next 3 years in this budget. And so I'm so pleased to be here today for really our first announcement related to this focus. As Minister LaGrange noted, this modernization project at Acme School will support career and skills education in the areas of agriculture, which is near and dear to me, manufacturing, and many of the trades and apprenticeships. You know, for Alberta to fully realize on its economic potential, and we have great economic potential, as we've collectively worked hard to position this province with the most competitive business environment possible, we're seeing investment flood into this province. We're predicting, many banks and economic think tanks are predicting Alberta to lead the nation in economic growth in 2022 and beyond. I believe we're heading into an economic renaissance in this province over the next few years. But in order to fully realize on our potential, employers will need access to great staff, great employees with the right skills and experience. And for every Albertan to fully participate in the years of opportunity ahead, they will need the appropriate skills for this new economy. That's why Budget 2022 included this $600 million investment. It's an investment in the next generation. It's an investment for Albertans who are right now involved in their post-secondary education, and it's an investment for Albertans who've been sidelined over the last 5 years, perhaps lost their job or are underemployed and are struggling to provide for themselves and their family. It's an investment for those Albertans as well. So again, it gives me great pleasure to be part of this announcement, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce the MLA for Olds, Didsbury, and Three Hills, and the Speaker of the House, Mr. Nathan Cooper.
Thank you so much, Minister, and this is one of the few places where you get to tell me what to do. It is my great pleasure to be here this morning, and thank you, each and every one of you, for attending, both Minister Toews and LaGrange, and Laurie and David, and the many others. And I just wanted to say thank you so much to each and every one of you. There are a number of locally elected mayors here and business leaders in their own right. And you know, sometimes at these announcements, it's really easy for politicians to pat each other on the back and say, look at the great work that we've done. And while there was a lot of work that took place to getting to today, much of that work was done and accomplished by you. And so while I'm thankful to the ministers for being here today and to the government of Alberta for providing a significant investment in this project, much of that thanks needs to go out to the community leaders, the business partners, and I want to thank some of them specifically today because I know that many of you have come because this project isn't just about the Acme School, and while the school is where, or Acme is where that school is located and will become the hub, this project is about our region and making our region stronger. So whether it's Carbon or Acme or Linden or all throughout this side of the constituency, this project is about us together getting stronger. And the reason why we're so strong is because of the partnerships that this school division and that this school has, and the forward thinking of so many of you, including CBI Manufacturing, Linden Agri Center, Westview Care Community, Redline Truck and Trailer, OK Tire, Extreme Concrete, of course, Sunterra and Solaterra. But today isn't possible without all of you. And so from the very bottom of my heart, let me just say thank you so much for everything that you did to make today possible. And today isn't just about today, but it's about planting a tree for tomorrow. Creating a future for young people, not just from Acme, but from right around the province. I believe that this is going to become a hub and a model that will be replicated all throughout our province as we invest in the future. It is my great pleasure, and I'm so honored to be able to be here with you today. This is a project that started many years ago by so many of you in the community, and so I'm so excited for you. Thank you so much for all of your work, and it's now my great pleasure to introduce Lori Huntley, the chair of the Golden Hills School Division.
Thank you and welcome to everyone that's here today. On behalf of the Golden Hills Board of Trustees and the Acme School community, I want to express our appreciation for the support from Alberta Education and our province for the modernization of Acme School. This school was originally built 70 years ago, and modernization will provide some much-needed attention to update the systems and make necessary structural changes to a building that's reached the end of its life cycle. Additionally, modernization will allow us to build and expand on the partnerships that we have developed with our local industry partners and with post-secondary institutions to continue to grow opportunities for skill and apprenticeship training for students in our community. Acme School has a unique relationship with our local business partners, where we work directly with local business and industry to provide training and experience for our students, and in return, develop skilled employees to support local enterprise. This modernization will allow us to continue to develop these trade and skill pathways in support of our students and rural economic development in our area. In conjunction with this announcement, we would also like to add that our community has raised over $1.3 million to support and enhance this project and the commitment the government has made. We would like to sincerely thank the Minister of Education, Adriana LaGrange, who has strongly supported this project since we first presented it to her nearly 3 years ago. We would also like to thank the Minister of Finance, the Honourable Travis Toews, and our local MLA and Speaker of the House, Nathan Cooper, for their support, and the Government of Alberta for our unique approach to leveraging trade and skill development for our students. Finally, we would like to thank our school administration for their hard work and dedication to making this project and this vision for learning a reality. We are very excited to take these steps for our school, for our students, and for local business and development. So thank you today for coming and sharing this with us. And I'd like to invite Mr. David Price to the podium now for remarks.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'd just like to take a few minutes to talk a little bit about the perspective from the partnership side, and of course echo some of the comments that have already been made in terms of how that is a fit for the community and really for the province, as both Adriana and Travis indicated. First, I'd like to be able to express our sincere thanks to Education Minister LaGrange for her belief in our partnership program and her very strong support for the investment here in our school and its programs. I'd like to thank the President of the Treasury Board and Finance Minister Toews for the strong financial commitment We appreciate him taking the time to be here today. And of course, you heard some of the passion he has for the kind of work that we are able to do here and to be able to model for the rest of the province. And certainly we'd like to be able to thank our own MLA, Speaker Cooper, who has provided strong support and guidance as we've worked towards this wonderful announcement. Further, from a community perspective, I'd like to thank Chair Laurie Huntley, the Golden Hills School Board of Trustees, and their senior admin team, all of who have been working hard, both in supporting the ongoing development of our education partnership program, and especially in the tremendous commitment and work done in the path, on this path to our renewed school facility. As business partners in our school education program, we believe that Alberta's future success will come from the utilization of the advantages we have in our resources, in land, water, and energy. It will come from the efforts of our hardworking entrepreneurial people in developing value-added products for domestic and international markets. Our community partners include smaller family businesses, multi-generational, providing services and support to larger leading-edge manufacturing businesses, to agricultural producers and food processors, and those that work and provide services in the healthcare sector. We all know that to be successful in these world competitive businesses, we need well-educated people that understand and are committed to these goals. We see the education partnership contributing to continuously create the best environment for students to get a closer look at career opportunities and to understand their character and their potential. We know that we can offer those opportunities to work with leading-edge technology and production, manufacturing, and equipment that puts students in a place where they can see and they can learn what it takes to be successful, or indeed to test what may not work. Our businesses have made these investments to compete in our parts of the economy. The leveraging of these investments in the experiential learning elevates the potential success of our students and reduces significantly the continuous need for tax dollar investments to attempt to bring this technology and equipment in part to traditional classrooms. We're talking about a different model. We look forward to working with education and to develop targeted training for existing and brand new businesses, especially in the value-added field. We are pleased to hear Honorable Travis Toews in his budget presentation, very passionately delivered in the legislature, I must say, note the government's support for micro-credentials, which we believe has an excellent fit here as well. Recently, we surveyed our partnership members, and from those that responded, there are more than 50 unfilled positions now, and conservatively 200 more permanent positions directly involved in the growth planned for the next few years. Of course, there will be additional positions in service and transportation and maintenance that go along with this as that grows, and that would bring the anticipated total to closer to 300 full-time jobs. Construction workers to put this all in place are in addition to that number. We are very keen to work with the great people at our Acme Tri-Campus, the Golden Hills School Division, and with post-secondary institutions who are willing to partner with us as we continue to develop this model of employer/owner needs focused partnership program to enhancing our students' education. Thank you again to all the members of the Alberta government for your commitment to our students and our communities. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. We are now going to take questions from the media. We have time for each outlet to ask one question and one follow-up. If anyone from the room wants to begin, I know we have some local media in the room, so we'd be happy to take questions from you first.
Hi, Pat Kalaffa from the Drumheller Mail. For Mr. Price, I was just hoping that you could describe a little more concretely how you will work together and what the opportunities are for students.
Well, I'll start by changing the word will to what we're already doing. As you can see in the audience here, there are a number of partners that are involved, just as Nathan counted off a few of the members. And everyone here has been working along with the school division and the local administration in actively figuring out places that partnerships can provide the opportunity for students to actually both test drive and learn what is included as a potential career path for them. And so the success that we've had in that in the past is it's done both of those things. It provides the opportunity for students that really don't have a chance to learn what kind of opportunities are in the community. They see things on television, but they don't necessarily see what happens in the community. This gives them that opportunity. And it also means that for some of those things that they might dream about doing, they may find, well, that's not quite what I thought it was. And that's part of the savings that exist in this kind of program, because I don't know now, I used to be involved in the education side at the board level, but it seems to me it's about $30,000 a year that is put towards post-secondary training in one area or the other. And so if we can have students choose their careers after experiencing what's involved, then the savings to everyone, including the students and the province, flow through to that better, efficient approach to having them follow through on what they want to take as their career path. And so, you know, there is really everything from being able to have physics students spend time in the manufacturing business of CBI and relate to what the CAD systems and what the machinery that actually is world-leading technology in that facility, and see products go from start, design, all the way through to the finished welded product moving off the facility, or indeed places like the Linden Agri Center that are providing service to farmers and equipment, and understanding what the level of new technology is with respect to things like global positioning systems and precision agriculture. Those kinds of opportunities people don't really understand exist until they actually interface with them. And now, by what we've been doing in the past, and certainly what we'll be able to kick up further in the future with this great investment and greater engagement by all parties, we will be able to do not only educational work at the high school level, but intermingle that with training that can be done here, working with post-secondary partners in order to have students do that as well. An example is the greenhouse just outside of town here. You know, we're working with Lethbridge College in the business side, and the opportunities to integrate educational programs that can happen in the high school, as well as walking around and seeing the nice tomatoes and strawberries there in a practical side, then that opens opportunities up for them. In that area, in terms of having enough employment for them, there's a worldwide shortage of people that can do a good job of greenhouse production and a growing, obviously, industry.
If I can just supplement really quickly for you, it's important to note that Golden Hill School Division has actually been leading the province on innovative engagement in skills and development training. So in many ways, the government is catching up to their leadership. Golden Hill School Division has over 100 industry partners already involved, and so it's likely that that will be able to increase because of the recognition of the great work that they've done. And much of that is because of the administration at Golden Hill School Division, but also here locally. And I see Kurt, and I wanted to say thank you very much for all of your efforts that led us to today. And it's also important that we thank the actual administrators and faculty here at the Tri-Campus School. The teachers do such an incredible job, and so I wanted to just make sure that we mention and say a very intentional thank you to each and every one of them.
Thank you. We are now going to take questions from the media on the phone. As a reminder, if you're dialed in today, if you press *1, you will enter the queue and we will be able to take a question from you. Operator, can you please put through the first caller?
Janet French, CBC.
Hi there. First question is for Minister LaGrange. I'm hoping you can describe for me your vision for charter schools in Alberta. Like in a perfect world, according to you, how many are there? What proportion of the province's students are enrolled in them? And how big of a player do they become in the public education system?
Oh, thanks, Janet, for the question. So charter schools have been around since about 1985 or so. Up until recently, there was 13 charter schools. We now have 15 charter schools, which added approximately 500 more students to the charter balance. Right now, there are 1.5% of the students attending, and we have 730,000, roughly 730 K-12 students in the province. 1.5% attend a charter school, but they only get 1.2% of the funding. Charter schools serve a purpose. Parents are looking for that choice. We have been very supportive of choice in education, and as long as parents are looking for choices and there are people with creative ideas such as what we're hearing here today at Acme and that we're celebrating, which is in a public school, so we're seeing that innovation and creativity, whether it's in a charter school or in a public school. We celebrate that, and as long as parents are looking for that, then I won't be controlling the number of charter schools. It'll be the parents themselves who choose that for their children.
Janet, did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, thank you. So there are obviously some folks who say that charter schools are getting special treatment, that funding for rapidly growing public education system that must accept all students has not kept up with enrollment growth or inflation during your tenure. So how would you respond to their accusations that boosting funding for charters is contributing to some kind of purposeful erosion of the public education system?
I would wholeheartedly disagree with that statement. In fact, I just reinforced to you that while 1.5% of the students are in charter schools, they're only receiving 1.2% of the funding. In fact, education has one of the strongest budgets. We're the second largest budget. Minister Toews will attest to that. It was at $8.3 billion. We're now going to be at $8.4 billion. We've added $700 million over 3 years for enrollment growth and to support inflation, et cetera. Just added another $191 million over 3 years to support the implementation of the curriculum. Another $110 million added for health and wellness, particularly mental health and wellness for our young people as we come out of the pandemic and deal with some learning loss as well. So we have an extremely well-funded education system, as evidenced by the fact that school board reserves are growing. At the start of the pandemic in Alberta, we had $363 million in school board reserves being saved for rainy days. We now have, as of August 31st of 2021, $464 million in school board reserves. So we know that we have a healthy system. We know that there's plans, and there's great schools doing great things, such as right here in Acme.
Thank you, Minister. Operator, can you please put through the next caller?
Eva Ferguson, Calgary Herald.
Yes, thank you. My question is also for Minister LaGrange, please. I'm hoping you can expand on something Nathan Cooper had said earlier, that Acme's school project will become a model that will be replicated throughout the province. So I'm wondering if you can give us a hint whether today's announcement is a sign of things to come for bigger cities, and whether Calgary in particular can expect funding for new school spaces, particularly since last year's education budget provided no money for new schools in Calgary, and school districts there have continued to say they're in dire need of additional spaces, especially for high school students.
Well, thank you for the question, Eva. And you know that we have a lot of asks across the province. There's over 60 school divisions, and each of them has many asks, and we try and balance that out as best we can. We have a gated system. We typically receive approximately about 400, just shy of 400 requests for new schools or major modernizations, and given the funding that we have, we accomplish about 15 to 18 a year, depending on the size of them. Obviously, high schools, take a greater portion. They're usually in the $40 million range per high school. A major modernization like this is over $13 million. So we really do look at the gated process. The requests come in, they're assessed amongst many metrics, including health and safety, enrollment growth, and et cetera, et cetera. So there's just many pieces that have to go through. Then they rise to the top, and then we go through a process with Treasury Board as well, and we have commitments there. So in terms of the announcements, future beyond the Acme School, they will be coming very, very soon. And in terms of are we looking at innovation and creation of new programming across the province, school divisions do an amazing job. They provide various alternative programs. This model is an excellent model. It may not fit in every school authority, but it certainly works here, and we can certainly see that it could work elsewhere. So I've been blown away as minister when I get to travel the province. It's one of the best things I get to do is go out and meet the students, and we've got an amazing group here. I wish you could see them all. They're invested in their future, and we know that school divisions are working to meet their needs. So is it possible it could expand across the province? We certainly hope so. There's so much more that can be said about what's been happening. We just touched the top of the waves, but that will be up to school authorities because ultimately they make the decisions for their local communities.
Eva, did you have a follow-up?
Yes, I do. Minister, I understand there would be many asks across the province, but where are you seeing the most enrollment growth in the province? And will those be the areas that will see the majority of capital investments in the next 3 years?
Well, we're certainly targeted on enrollment growth, but as I said, there's many other factors that we look at. We look at health and safety concerns. We have schools across the province that are older schools that are deteriorating, and we have to make sure that all the students, regardless of where they are in schools that protect their health and safety. We also have legal obligations as well that we have to attest to. It goes through the program, as I said, through the gated process, and it's 10 steps, so it's very intensive. We also have to look at what sites are available in communities. Sometimes we're able to actually give dollars for a school, but the site is nowhere near being able to be formulated, completed, chosen. So there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes with municipalities, et cetera. And when we get to the point where we have a select number that have risen to the top, then we make those announcements, and then we keep going. We have, as was indicated in my speaking notes, $2 billion of funding for capital infrastructure in flux right now, including the projects that we will be announcing very shortly.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. That wraps up our media Q&A. I'm going to ask our guests to stay up at the front because we're going to do a photo op. Thank you so much.